listening to Second Chance Ministry Radio.
Spirit Guides, the beginner's guide to the spirit world. How to contact and communicate with your spirit guides. Occult, spirit guides, astrology, palmistry, divination series. Written by Michelle Gilbert. Narrated by John Eastman. Introduction. I want to thank you and congratulate you for downloading the book Spirit Guides, the Beginner's Guide to the Spirit World. This book contains proven steps and strategies on how to understand and communicate with your spirit guide. Have you ever felt like there was something else out there? Something that's trying to get your attention, but you're just not sure what or where they are? Well, there's a good chance that you're trying to communicate with a spirit guide, and they're waiting for you. Of course, there's nothing to be afraid of. Most likely, they're here to make your life much, much better. In this book, you're going to be given a brief overview of what spirit guides are, to the best of our understanding, and what they can offer you in your life. There are techniques and ways to communicate with your spirit guide, and a few warnings if you're afraid that you've picked up something that might not be friendly. Thanks again for downloading this book. I hope you enjoy it. The World of Spirit Guides. So, if you're this far into this book, I'm going to make a few assumptions about you that I think you need to understand before we continue on any farther down this road. The first thing that I'm going to assume is that you're open-minded. Why else would you be here? After all, if you're going to read an entire book about spirit guides just out of spite or criticism, you should find something better to do with your time. So, I'm going to make that leap and assume that you're an open-minded sort of person who is willing to accept that the soul lives on, that spirits are real, and regardless of your religious beliefs, there is some sort of higher cosmic power at work through all of us and all things. That's my first assumption, and it's pretty weighty, right? The second thing I'm assuming is that you're probably interested in the whole concept of spirit guides. After all, if you're tempted to believe that there is something beyond this world, or that there is more than what is seen, then you probably want to get in touch with it. Well, maybe you don't want to get in touch with a spirit guide. Maybe you just want to know what they are, or how they affect the lives of those who do have them. That's fine, too. Either way, you're here to learn about them, and you want to know how they're interacted with. I think that's less of a stretch. We're here to talk about spirit guides, and this is no small topic, especially for those that are hungry for more than a Wikipedia page of information. Spirit guides are not like other New Age beliefs that are out there. Like a handful of New Age practices, spirit guides and the belief in them has been enduring through humanity for ages, since the first civilizations started recording such things. In fact, it could be said that any form of deity or mythological being is a reference to a spirit guide. Regardless, whether you're talking about Native American, Chinese, Sumerian, tribal Africa, or one of the other countless ancient societies that keeps track of spirit guides, the answer is always the same. They do exist, and there are ways to communicate with them. It's a hard thing to come to terms with when you live in a world that shouts the opposite. But I'm here to tell you that it's something you can experience for yourself and that you can decide whether it's true or not. So, let's have a closer look, shall we? What is a spirit guide? Before we begin to talk about how you communicate with them, or what different types of spirit guides out there are, it's important to have a little time discussing what exactly they are. This is something that you're going to want to have answered well before you begin actually communicating with these spirit guides that are out there waiting for you. So, what exactly are spirit guides? You want the simple answer or the complex answer? The simple answer? We have no freaking clue. The more complex answer is that you're dealing with something that's dwelling in the spirit world, and is, at best, trying to communicate with you on a mental plane that most scientists don't rightly acknowledge right now. Spirit guides often try to communicate through sensations, emotional reactions, and subtle gestures through the physical world. What makes them even more precarious is the fact that a lot of them don't seem to be human even. But maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. The point of this is we have to take spirit guides for their word, and that means trusting them to tell the truth. Other than that, we can only trust what is that mediums and channelers have told us, regardless of validity on their part. So, without having experienced for yourself a spirit guide, you're stuck leaving yourself in the hands of a lot of trusting others. That's why I strongly encourage contacting your own medium or a psychic that can help you if you're already experiencing contact from a spirit. What we do know about spirit guides is that many of them were once humans. Whether you are a strong believer in Buddhist or Hindu principles and ideals, you might say that they have reached the highest karmic level and have ascended to a whole new level and abide now on a spiritual plane of existence. They no longer take their traditional form, but have the opportunity should they desire. Many of them take the form of beings that you might be more receptive for. Of course, this doesn't necessarily mean that they take human forms. In fact, they many times show up as spirit animals that have been highly exploited by Hollywood through Native American influences. Whoever they are, these masters of human understanding and spiritual power often approach people willing to help. Another option that they might be is actually that they're your ancestors. Strong bloodlines might have people in your past who have a strong desire to see that you succeed in your actions and opportunities. These ancestral guides present themselves and usually are eager to inform you that you're actually bound by blood. Another option is that you're dealing with a spiritual being on a whole other level than you are. Some of these spectral beings exist as pure light, others as pure energy, and sometimes you'll find that they're actually deities or divine beings from other cultures who have taken an interest in you. Of course, they usually seek you out for one of two reasons. Either you called out to them and they answered, or they want you to succeed in your mission, goals, or ideas that you are pursuing. One can also find that spirit guides are also truly physical. You can find a spirit guide in a shaman, a guru, a priest, or in any other form of spiritual mentor that can help lead you along your way in life. They could take the form of a spiritual guru, or they can be a storyteller. These physical spirit guides are definitely able to show you the path you need to take in this life. Listen to them and do whatever you can to garner whatever information is available to you. No matter where they come from, there's something very clear about spirit guides, and that's the fact that they have a very real and very serious interest in the life that you're living and the actions that you're taking part in. Because of this, they're offering wisdom, guidance, and any kind of knowledge that you could possibly need in the coming years of your life. Again, there is no hard evidence, and there is no way that you can actually trust what these beings are saying because they offer no evidence. The one thing that we do know is that they can validate their stories, and they know exactly what they need to prove their story. One thing that I want to stress is that many of these beings are benevolent and want to genuinely guide and help you. However, there are beings out there that are malevolent. Regardless of your spiritual practices or beliefs, there are a lot of beings that very much want to cause pain, sow discord, and give you any kind of trouble that they can. These beings will present themselves to anyone who wants to communicate with them and are eager to sow deception and trouble in any way that they can. I'll discuss this later in a chapter about the warnings of trusting the first being that comes your way. It's vitally important that you know this up front before we go any farther. And with that, you officially know about as much as we know about what spirit guides are as the rest of us. I'm going to go into more detail as to what the different types of guides are in the next chapter. But right now, all you need to know about them is that they're spiritual beings that communicate on a purely mental and dream state. Though they exist as spiritual energy and power, they are also capable of manifesting themselves in any form that is required to convey the message that they have to share with you. Now, let's talk a little more in depth about what they are and the different types that you could encounter on your travels or journeys through the dream or spirit world. Types of spirit guides. Like I discussed with you earlier, there are multiple kinds of spirit guides, and depending upon the culture that is seeking to interact with them. Since there are so many types of spirit guides, it's worth going over what they could be representative of, or just the characteristics that are common among them. Of course, the truth could be that all of these spirit guides are the same, just manifesting themselves in a different way or just a different understanding of what they actually are. Regardless of their true presence, the result is always going to be the same. They are part of a reality that is not our own, and they're looking to communicate with us, and that's all we can go with. What follows are the distinct characteristics of the guides that you could be encountering or that are out there waiting for you to encounter them. Enlightened guides. These ancestral guides are what I refer to as masters or spiritual leaders that have reached the highest level of enlightenment or holiness that they could and have found a way to transcend the barrier of death. How they did this, or why they did this, might be disclosed to you. But what they are here to discuss with you is your life, not necessarily theirs. In fact, there is a lot of speculation that these ascended masters are just helping individuals. Most believe that ascended masters are more of a corporate mindset, looking to help all those that exist in the world and are working toward a better future with multiple people at once. These enlightened guides usually come with messages and warnings. They answer questions, but their objective is clear: to help you on your path to holiness and to ensure that you get the guidance you're lacking right now. Ancestral guides. These guides are unique in the fact that they may not have the answers that you seek, but they do have advice. They're here to ensure that their bloodline does not wander and that their work and accomplishments in the generations or ages before is not wasted on someone who has no direction and no help in life. A unique thing about ancestral guides is that they usually come in the form of protection. They deliver warnings to you and offer advice specifically catered to keeping you safe and keeping you out of harm's way. They might even manifest signs and omens that keep you from making terrible decisions in the moment. If you have an ancestral guide, it's wise to seek what it is that they have in mind for you, and to understand why they chose you specifically out of their extensive bloodline to communicate with. See if you can't help them out as they help you out as well. Physical guides. Many people have stated that in certain points in their life, they have encountered mystics that have no trace and have vanished just as ominously as they appeared. It is these people who have perpetrated the legends that some spirit guides actually can physically manifest themselves. These people might take many forms: warriors, saviors, storytellers, travelers, sages, or teachers that happen to encounter you on your journey in life. They impart wisdom and their philosophy that they feel you should be privy to, and then they vanish after a duration of time. You may never see them again, and you may never want to or have need to see them again. They exist to radically alter your life and to put you on a new path that is better for you. If you encounter one of these spirit guides, don't waste time trying to track them down or to hunt after them. Utilize the opportunity given to you to ask questions and to work out things in your life with them. It's a valuable gift that you've been given, and you shouldn't waste any time afterwards chasing after something that doesn't want to be found. Not that you could find them anyway. Animal guides. There are many cultures, not just the Native Americans, which talk about the existence of animal guides and their ability to deliver teachings, messages, and serve as educators in the world. Animal guides are rarely actual animals, and most of them talk to the people they are with or appearing to, and many of them serve as actual physical guides along the road through life. Animal guides are usually interacting with those who have a serious need for guidance in their life, or at a crossroad that they need to tread carefully on. They don't look to discuss things in your life that you have questions about. Rather, they serve as guides and markers in your life. If you have an animal guide who is a coyote, then you're going to want to look for signs in your life of coyotes, no matter where they are or what it is they're on. They're going to be a clear sign for you when you feel like you need answers to the questions or crossroads in front of you. Divine beings. Many feel that they are being met by angels or deities from past religions or forms. While this is fairly unique, it could be that you're actually encountering these beings, or that you're meeting a being that has decided to reveal itself to you in the form of a divine being. These divine beings come in the form of protectors, teachers, and messengers. When you meet them, it'll be hard for you to test them, to see what they really are. It's hard because how can you tell whether you're talking to the real Archangel Michael or the god Osiris? The real answer is that you're not going to be able to tell. Despite actually holding trust in such a high esteem, perhaps you should care more about the knowledge that's available to you from this guide. Honestly, sometimes the truth is irrelevant when it has to do with a person's identity, especially when that truth offers you nothing. Spirit guides are mysterious, and they come in many forms and manifestations in your encounters. How you handle them and what you do with them is something that is going to be entirely up to you. Without having a clear answer to a lot of the questions that you have, you're just going to have to take things on faith. Now, since we don't know exactly what spirit guides are, and that there are a lot of forms that they take, how exactly do we know that they're trying to communicate with us? How do they get through from across different planes and realities? Well, we look into that in the next chapter, to see what it means when these spirit guides try to communicate with us. This is how we speak. There are a lot of ways that spirit guides try to communicate with us, and most of them are actually really subtle. For many of us, the only way that you're ever going to notice that the spirit guides are trying to communicate with you is if you're actually starting to look for the signs and the words they bring for you. It's also vital for you to remember that these are beings of a spiritual nature and have their own way of dealing with things in the physical world. So let's have a look at what the spirits are trying to say to you. Dreams. One of the most obvious that spirits try to communicate with you is through dreams. The dream world is often a subject of debate among those who have an interest in the spiritual matters of the world, whether it is actually a conduit to the spirit world or whether it is a network in its own sense. Regardless of what the dream world really is, it seems that spirit guides are very serious about communicating to their subjects through this medium, and that it has become a commonplace for people to assume that there is no truth to it. For most people, they write of spirit guides who approach them through the dreams they have as nothing more than quirky manifestations of the mind. The only problem with this belief is that it ignores the consistency with which others have been contacted by spirits. For you, if you think that you're being contacted by spirits in the dreams you're having, there are several ways that you might be catching on to this. Perhaps there is a being that consistently shows up and has no relevance to the dream that you're having. Not only are they out of place in the moment, they might actually be going against the dream, sticking out and drawing your attention to them. If this is the case, they're probably trying to get your attention and draw you to them. If that's the case, then I would suggest actually approaching them the next time you experience their presence in a dream. Reach out to them and see what it is that they're so interested in telling you. The hardest part about this is the fact that it's happening in your dreams, and that you're not actually likely to remember the dream. Maybe, if it's strange enough or weird enough, it will stick out, but the chances of that happening are extremely slim. In fact, remembering really crazy dreams are hard enough most of the time. So one thing that you're going to want to work on is remembering your dreams and writing them down. You might be more inclined to remember them in that case. Remember, test these beings if you can in your dreams. Tell them to come back before they have your attention or your focus. Tell them to prove themselves. You don't want to listen to random constructs of the subconscious. Intuition. There's something really great in the world known as intuition. My wife has a very strong intuition, and there are plenty of women out there who have a strong sense of intuition as well. It's the ability to sense information without having any actual physical evidence in your hands. It's the ability to pick up information on a psychic level that leads lots of people to understand insight or see what's coming before they ever have information that's worthwhile. There's a good chance that there's a spirit guide that is trying to communicate to you through intuition, especially if you've opened that door up for them. If you've made active communication through mediums or someone else or some other method, there's a possibility that you're going to start feeling nudges and pulls from your spirit guide toward what they want you to do in this life. It's doubtful that they're going to give you much more information other than this subtle, sometimes disturbing push and pull from your spirit guide. They're going to try and influence you through the subtlest form and make sure that it's you who are making the decisions. Honest spirit guides are not in the business of tricking or deceiving those that they're helping. Again, we'll talk about testing and making sure that you're dealing with a genuine spirit guide in a later chapter. But for right now, intuition is probably a spirit guide trying to get you to pay attention to something that you've been distracted from or ignoring. Signs. For those that have an animal guide or a spirit guide who has a definite representation, there's a strong possibility that they will attempt to use monikers, icons, or symbols as a method of communicating to you in the physical world. We call these signs and omens, and they will start popping up everywhere. There's a lot of argument that these signs have always been there, and that your sudden awareness is the only thing that has actually changed. Regardless as to why the signs are there, it's simply a matter of noticing them and helping to make decisions through them. Most people will discourage this as superstition, but you've already decided that superstition was not hocus pocus a long time ago. So if you're trying to make a decision and you're dealing with a spirit guide, see if they're trying to contact you through signs in the real world. Another possibility when it comes to omens and signs are that they're trying to get your attention in general. Many spirit guides are not interested in the fact that you have other things on your mind. They're trying to get to you before you completely ignore them and decide that they're nothing more than a reoccurrence. If there's something out there that keeps popping up, that keeps showing its face, and it won't leave you alone, this could be the manifestation of a spirit guide that is trying to contact you. If you keep seeing ravens popping up again and again, then perhaps you should start watching them to see what it is that they mean. Look for them in dreams and follow the rabbit down the rabbit hole once in a while. These are just a few of the ways that spirit guides come looking for those that are open to their guidance and their information. If you are experiencing some of these things, then it's a good possibility that they're going to keep trying to contact you. Open your mind to their presence and keep your awareness high. As far as you're concerned, these beings are still going to keep coming. The more you notice them, the more you should test them, and the more you should keep trying to find out whether or not these are actual spirit guides. See what information they can offer you, and keep your mind open. But how do you talk to them? How do you communicate with spirit guides? Well, let's look into the next chapter and see what it is you need to do in order to find out what it is they want with you and what they can do for you. The art of communication. So, you have spirit guides who are trying to contact you. and they're trying to get your attention before you give up on them. Well, this is only good if you have a way of responding to them, right? After all, you don't want to be limited to just communicating to them in dreams, if you're lucky enough to have one appearing to you in your dreams. No, you want to find a way that you can actually converse and discuss things with them. You want a clear channel of communication, and there are plenty of ways to achieve that. I've got 3 ways that you should communicate with your spirit guide, and I would actually like you to follow this list in order, rather than doing whichever one you want. It's for your own good. If you have a spirit guide trying to contact you, then here is what I suggest you do. Step 1. Contact a psychic. Psychics are the pariahs of the scientific world, and many people feel that there is a negative connotation and stigma to having them in your life. People think it's hokey and that it's stupid to trust one. But if you're this far down the road to spirit guides, then you've put that behind you. Hopefully you have, because before you ever initiate conversation with a spirit guide, you should know fully how to test it and how to understand what it is. There are psychics literally in every city and town in the world, and finding one will not be nearly as difficult as you might think it should be. Find one and ask them if they have any information or knowledge about what to do when it comes to spirit guides. If they do, then I would strongly suggest going and having a talk with them. Tell them that you believe that something or someone is trying to contact you from beyond, and that you need to have some sort of reference or clarity as to whether or not they're really a spirit guide and that they're benevolent. This isn't an unusual request. They're going to know exactly what it is you're looking for, and they're going to be able to help you and determine what it is you should do next. If you're worried about finding something malevolent or dangerous, a psychic can give you ways to protect yourself and safeguards that you might need. They'll offer a wealth of information and knowledge that you might need later on down the road when you're learning how to manage and deal with your spirit guide. If there's ever anything that you feel inclined, get information out of your spirit guide. Ask your psychic anything that you want to know. There's plenty of information that they can give you, and you're paying them for this after all. Don't waste the time and money that you're spending. Step 2. Learn to meditate. Meditation is going to be the only real road you have to getting any kind of serious answers or truth out of the spirit guide that has taken an interest in you. Without a solid core of knowledge about meditation, you're going to end up wasting your time and probably thinking that all of this is just stupid. Take a class if you need to. Get some understanding and find out how to accurately and successfully meditate. If you need to, learn about chakras, crystal meditation, and any other form of meditation enhancement that you might need to make your chances of actually communicating with a spirit guide better. When you meditate, the chances of calling and channeling your spirit guide is going to increase greatly. When you feel the presence of a spirit guide, then I would highly suggest that you make sure that the presence is stable. Get a solid read on your spirit guide, and when you have that, know that your only real communication with the spirit is through thought. Sure, you can try to vocalize with the spirit and talk to them, but you're not going to get audible responses. That's not how it works. For your first attempt to communicate with your spirit guide, you should just say hello. Honestly, by saying hello, you'll be initiating the conversation and demanding a response from them. This puts the ball in their court. If they want to contact you, then they need to speak up. Their reply might come in the form of a positive feeling inside of you, or an affirmation in your gut. However they decide to answer, you'll know if it's a real conversation or not. Once they've replied, it's wise to always ask to make sure that it's actually them. Ask them a few questions. Ask them if they have a message they want to deliver to you or who they are. Open yourself up to visualize them and ask them to reveal themselves to you. Don't let them hide in the shadows and keep from revealing themselves to you. This will, honestly, feel weird at first, but you're going to know whether or not it's real in a matter of no time. I guarantee that to you. Once you've done this the first time, and you've tested the spirit guide that's trying to contact you, tell them to meet you again when you meditate. The more you meditate, and the more you open yourself up to them, the more likely that you'll be able to have continuous dialogues with them. If you want, invite them to manifest signs in your life to help you make the right decision, or ask them if they know anything that they should share with you about the impending future. When you have a regular routine down, your spirit guide will manifest itself to you constantly through meditation. You might even find that your spirit guide contacts you when you're not meditating, depending upon how open you are to receiving them. The more open you are, the more constant they'll arrive. Step 3. Journal your encounters. Seriously, I cannot stress this enough. The value of actually having a record of the experiences and the contact that you have with your spirit guide will help you immensely on contemplation and meditation exercises. If you hear something cryptic or a warning, it's good to have a record of it so that you might be able to go back and look at the material to get a grip as to how your spirit guide is actually handling you. All in all, writing is also a cathartic exercise that helps you clear your mind, sort your thoughts, and understand what it is that you've just experienced. Remember, this is all about getting what you want and what you need to understand out of this experience. If you're experiencing something truly bizarre or very strange, you'll have a record and an account that you can take to a medium or a psychic at any point in your life. There are a lot of strange things that can happen when you first initiate contact with a spirit guide. Whether this is a spirit from beyond the grave, or if it is something else that has been around in the world for a very long time, you'll now have a guide to what you should do next when you encounter your spirit guide. Remember to keep your eyes open and to remain alert. The most important thing that I can impart to you right now is that if you are ever confused or worried about what it is you're experiencing, please consult a medium or a psychic for help. This is their livelihood, and they're more than willing to help you through any kind of situation that you find yourself in. Who are you really talking to? Some of you may be asking the question right now, how do I know that I'm really talking to a benevolent spirit? This is an excellent and a very wise question to be asking. If you're approaching this whole experience with a naive or oblivious mentality toward what it is you're dabbling with, you should stop now and reconsider what it is you're doing. The current atmosphere in the New Age movement is to accept that there are not demons, but rather negative energy. However, every culture in the world that believes in the existence of spirits or something beyond this life on another plane of reality believes that there is a negative or malevolent force as well. These dark spirits have popularly been coined demons in many aspects of society, and are something that you should be aware of when you're dabbling with spirits. Why is this so important? Because demonic forces are always bad for those that unknowingly get involved with them. The good thing for you is that spirits seem to operate by a certain law or code in their life. Without actually inviting them in, spirits have no real means of contacting you. You must initiate the communication for it to succeed in entering your life or having anything to do with you. If you are pestered by a being in your dreams, and you're coming to understand that it's not exactly something that you want to have around, then simply ask for it to leave. There is no need to be afraid of dark spirits or the presence that they have in your life. Of all the people out there that they could pester or have an issue with, you're not worth the time if you're ignoring them or actively seeking to get rid of them. They can have plenty of other people who they can torture and make their life miserable. Don't be afraid of what it is they mean. All they want is to influence the life of another, and that's it. Don't let them affect your actions or what it is you're thinking. A great way to weed out whether the spirit that is making contact with you is malevolent or benevolent is to simply ask them questions. You should ask them what their intentions are. If they say that they are one thing, test them to see if their stories add up. For example, if they claim to be a member of your ancestry, do some research and find out if what they're saying is true. Test their identity in any way that you can. Ask them for tales of their past exploits or what their true intentions in your life are. Make sure that when you're meditating that you exude a positive mindset and try calling spirits of truth and honesty to you while you meditate. When it comes to the spirit world, like attracts like, and those who have a lighter heart and spirit will draw lighter spirits to them. Again, if you ever feel like you've welcomed in something that you regret, go ahead and contact a psychic or a medium who will help you deal with the situation. They are very experienced in this matter, and if at any point you're worried, they'll be more than happy to help you. The conclusion. When it comes to communing with spirit guides, it can be a tricky and confusing world that makes many people question whether it's real or not. However, there are plenty of people who have spoken about spirit guides over the course of history, and they have been a part of nearly every culture, regardless of trade, communication, or proximity. They have always been with us, and as long as we exist, I'm sure that they always will. In this book, we discussed everything that we know about spirit guides, everything from what they are to the kind of manifestations that they present themselves as. We also learned that there are many reasons by which spirit guides present themselves to us in our lives and can try to communicate with us for many reasons. Of course, we also discussed the 3 simple steps that you can take to have a healthy communication with your spirit guide. Remember to be smart about it and to follow those steps in order. Finally, we discussed some warnings about making sure you know who or what it is you're communicating with and having a clear sense of what's going on. There's a large, exciting world out there, and your spirit guide is looking to communicate with you and to offer guidance in any way that they can to you. They have a wealth of knowledge, and they're more than willing to share it with you if you open your mind and understanding to their wisdom. Be sure to approach this carefully and intelligently, and feel free to contact a medium or a psychic at any point where you feel uncomfortable or nervous.
You are listening to Second Chance Ministry Radio.